day, ladies and gentlemen. Today's video is about generational curses. Warning, no, this is not a video talking about women. I'm just using this starting example to prove a point. Saying that, may I ask you a question, Miss S. Williams and Mr. D. Jones? Seeing how each generation after the Civil Rights Movement has declined not only in family equity, but also our sanity, how do you perceive these things are happening? I mean, what black person hasn't heard a strong black woman gloat about how highly educated they are and how they got it going on? Yet, we see black women dying like flies from diseases that didn't seem possible before. In fact, black women are the #1 stroke victims bar none today, when just 60 years ago, it was so infrequent, they barely have statistics on it. On another note, obviously, being highly educated coloreds doesn't equate to cash, because according to the GAO, that's the Government Accounting Office, in 2013, the equity of white families was $113,000, with Mexicans coming in second at $5,600, and blacks coming in last at $5,000. So as you can see, our prosperity is only a perceptual illusion. Just so you don't get to call me Mr. Misogynist, have you ever wondered how so many so-called highly educated or enlightened black men continue to be incarcerated for the stupidest crimes and vices? Heck, even while locked up, they read this book and that book about the ills of America. Yet, we look at them and their crazy seed on the local television newscast doing the craziest crap ever. Well, I think the answer is clear. We have allowed the evildoers to change our perceptions through their witchcrafts and mental ills. Ah, here he go again. Where's the stop button? Some of you are saying. He either has a low IQ or he's an agent. I know, says others. But allow me to explain my stance, and maybe you will not feel the same way afterwards, Miss Jones. Mr. Dorsher and his family. When you read Exodus 20:5 and 34:7 in the Septuagint, what do y'all perceive? Yeah, I said y'all. I live in Georgia. Exodus 20:5, quote, "Thou shalt not bow down to them, nor serve them, for I am Yah thy God, a jealous God, recompensing the sins of the father upon the children, to the 3rd and 4th generations to them that hate me." Let's move on to Exodus 34:7. Quote, "And keeping justice and mercy for thousands, taking away iniquity and unrighteousness and sins. And he will not clear the guilty, bringing the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and to the children's children, to the 3rd and 4th generation." Example. The same sentiment can be echoed in Numbers 14 and 18 and Deuteronomy 5 and 9. So as you can see, you do pay for the sins of your dad after all. The Civil Rights Movement's goal was to make Yah to be a liar, Yah forbid, in their attempts to break his chain of unfortunate events to mark the children for a sign and a wonder. What Yah decrees, who can undecree? That's not scripture. That's just me. But how? How does Yah do this marvelous work of recompense? When his foes, as we can plainly see, are manipulating the environment to allow wages of sin to prosper. I don't know the answer, but I can probably tell you the mechanism used to achieve it. It's called epigenetics, which uses and encompasses all the above questions at a cellular and psychological level. According to Wikipedia under epigenetics, quote, "Epigenetics is the study in the field of genetics of cellular and psychological phenotypic trait variations that are caused by external or environmental factors that switches genes on and off and affects how cells read genes instead of being caused by changes in the DNA sequence." Stop. This proves your actions can actually turn on and off certain markers or defects in a physical or psychological manner. Basically, your genetic expressions are changed by the sins of you and your ancestors. You still don't believe me, huh? Let's continue. Quote, the term also refers to the changes themselves, functionally relevant changes to the genome that do not involve the change in the nucleotide sequence. Examples of mechanisms that produce such changes are DNA methylations and histone modification, each of which alters how genes are expressed without altering the underlying DNA sequence. Gene expression can be controlled through the action of suppressor proteins that attach to silencer regions in the DNA. These epigenetic changes may last through the cell divisions for the duration of the cell's life and may also last for multiple generations even though they do not involve changes in the underlying DNA sequence of the organism. Instead, non-genetic factors cause the organism's genes to behave or express themselves differently. Example, I told you, Yah is awesome. I know that was a lot of medical mumbo jumbo to some of you guys, so I found an example we all are familiar with. I'm talking about all the movies and media. According to the Entrepreneur, under new research shows DNA can be altered by trauma passed on to the offspring. August 2015. Quote, while we have long known that hereditary genes are responsible for physical attributes and for illnesses and allergies, scientists have discovered that the trauma experienced by one generation can alter genes and those mutations can be passed along to offspring. Researchers at Mount Sinai Hospital and the James J. Peters Veterans Affairs Medical Center, both in New York, studied the genetics of 32 Jewish men and women who had experienced the horrors of persecution, wink wink, during the Nazi regime, either because they had been in concentration camps, witnessed or experienced torture, or were forced into hiding. The children of these individuals, known to have a greater likelihood of stress disorders, were also studied. The researchers then compared their studies to Jewish families who had not been in Europe during that time, and the differences in DNA were noticeable. The differences had to do with the stress hormone cortisol, which helps the body stabilize after trauma. Scientific American explains that Holocaust survivors are known to have lower levels of cortisol than their contemporaries, especially survivors with post-traumatic stress disorder. Due to this imbalance, descendants of survivors are more vulnerable to PTSD, which has been previously noted, and health issues such as obesity and hypertension. Stop! Doesn't that sound like somebody we know, people? But let's finish this out. Moreover, it seems the next generation would be maladapted to handle stress themselves. Example, first, fuck the Nazi Holocaust. I want you to perceive what happened to the seed of the worst Holocaust the world has ever imagined. I'm talking about us. This is why we tend to get larger and larger while being more health conscious than ever before. This is why we have high-paying jobs, but always seem to have to cut corners and make ends meet. Now, I know you just can't wait till this video is over so you can go in my comment section and try to show me up by saying my theory is garbage, because the Gentiles and those of the nations, they are different, eat the same foods, live the same lives, work the same jobs, think the same ways, etc. Am I right about it? Tell me if I'm right about it. If you are one of these smart guys, listen up and try to understand with understanding. Here we go. This way of life is not sin for the Gentiles or the nations. Why? Because Yah never gave them any rules. This demonic lifestyle is their normal way of life. Only you have He loved. Thus, when you go outside of the rules of His house, it makes no difference what Johnny's mom lets him do. Our dad said no. That is why our dad doesn't punish little Johnny. He didn't tell Johnny or Jane shit. But he told you, little Israel, not to do this and not to do that. But we didn't listen, and our ancestors' sin have turned into curses upon our lives, environment, finances, health, bones, and genetics. There is only one way out of this death spiral we are in, whether you perceive it or not. Check this out. 1 Samuel 12, 10 through 11. Quote, "And they cried unto Yah, and said, We have sinned, because we have forsaken Yah, and have served Baalim and Ashtaroth. But now deliver us out of the hands of our enemies, and we will serve thee." And Yah sent Jerubbaal, and another name, and Samuel, and delivered you out of the hands of your enemies on every side, and ye dwelled safe. Let's go to Judges 3, 9 through 15. And I think I'm going to skip. Quote, "And when the children of Israel cried unto Yah," what? "And when the children of Israel cried unto Yah, Yah raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. The Spirit of Yah came upon him, and he judged Israel, and went out to war. And Yah delivered a name of a king I can't pronounce, of Mesopotamia, into his hands. And his hand prevailed against that name again." I'm going to skip. "But when the children of Israel cried unto Yah," what? "But when the children of Israel cried unto Yah, Yah raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, son of Gera, a Benjaminite, a man left-handed. And by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, king of Moab." Example. If you finish the rest of the storyline, when Ehud, I don't know, it's E-H-U-D, presented the gift to Eglon, who was obese, he thrust his double-edged dagger into his fat belly. But enough about my bedtime story heroes. Hopefully, you have been following the thread of my videos. You will perceive that we are within and among our enemies, and not the brothers in white Jesus Christ. You know, what we perceive as goodwill and fellowship at the table of white humanity is only a trick to keep you within humanity of evil, and not ruling humanity in righteousness. How? By beguiling our parents into thinking they could be equal to the devil. How vain and stupid. But wait! Am I the only person to notice how they became mighty men of valor? The Spirit of Yah hit them, just like we talked about Samson before. We as a nation are going to get a taste of that same spirit when we handle our business with the nations. Only thing is, the evildoers read the scriptures too, and have the ancient knowledge, and through trial and error, with the wild card we call humanity, they will also produce their pseudo-mighty men spirit as well. That is for the next video. Stay tuned. But as far as ending this video, let's cry out together, people. Hell, I'll even start a band. I'm rusty, but I can play the trumpet. Thank you for listening to this video. I know I struggled, but thank you for listening to this video, and look for the next.